So
Yep.
This meeting is being recorded.
do that now because we have a special guest. We have Phil with us. Sorry, Phil, about the link. I know everyone's got it, and I've
Right.
obviously got, but he's got it now. So Phil is our illustrious president of Outdoors New South Wales and ACT. So as you would have seen in the email, there's been a bit of work done by the board on all things governance, and one of those things was looking at the committee structures and things. So I think this is the sixth time I've heard this now. We're getting through all the subcommittees slowly, but yeah, really good info. So, and the board has offered to, you know, certainly connect you personally with this content. So thanks, Phil, for staying up with us today and bearing with us tonight. So I'll hand over to Phil, and I'll navigate the screen share as he talks. So over to you.
Thanks, Laurie. I won't take too long, everyone. Thank you very much for having me on tonight. It's the Adventure Guides one, so it's a third one today, so happy to be here. First of all, I just want to thank you all for being volunteers in our committee network. I can call it that because we have quite a number of committees now, but they simply don't function without people like you that are volunteering their time. So thank you very much for being part of it. It's really appreciated. I just wanted to bring to you tonight just a couple of documents that we've been working on. And this is a relatively new committee formed this year, I understand. So you're still in the throes of probably trying to understand what it is you're doing and how you're going to do it and why and so forth and where. So what we've done is to produce a core terms of reference and a charter to go with it. And I know Laurie will share these documents with you, but the core terms of reference really cut to the essence of why the committees are established and gives the sort of the purpose, the membership, and so forth, and all the elements that you normally would see in thanks, Laurie, in a committee. So it's sort of the nuts and bolts of how it's going to work. And this is a generalised document, so everyone will have the same set of guidelines to work by and to assemble themselves and so forth. All exactly the same as you'd see in front of you there. So it's a core document. Accompanying that is a charter. And this is where we want each of the groups now to really tell us what they're doing, why they're there, what their intent is, what the deliverables are, what the resources are, and so forth. So this is a document that each group, each committee we're asking to work with Laurie on completing and submitting to the board. And the reason for this is that as a committee, as a board, we have as a company, we have a fiduciary responsibility to everyone who works within it and to the organisation itself. So we need to have a good understanding of what our committees are, because we can't pass out all the and apportion all the risk to others. At the end of the day, the board wears the risk. So we need to have a good understanding of what committees are doing and how they're doing it and so forth. And so these documents that we've prepared will give us a very good understanding, and also yourselves, hopefully, a good understanding of what it is you're doing and how long you're going to be doing it for, and all the sort of elements that will make up a committee structure. So we would like the groups to take these on board and to complete them in due course. I mean, they're not all due next week or anything silly like that. Take your time to complete them, but they will give rise to a good understanding of what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. And one of the other reasons we're very keen to do this is that some of the groups, I think, may have developed a bit of a tendency to just continue on forever, sort of thing, and others will be required to complete a task or tasks, and then basically their job is done. So these documents are intended to give us, the board, an understanding, and indeed yourselves, an understanding of what it is you're going to do, as I said, and how long you're going to do it for, and what the requirements are going to be. So they're guidelines for you. We really hope that everyone appreciates that, and that we very much like you to complete them and so that we have a pretty good understanding of where everyone is in the organisation. So that's really all I want to talk about tonight, apart from thanking you. So I'm happy to take any questions if people have got some. I admit that you haven't seen the documents, so it might be a bit difficult, but nonetheless, if anyone has any questions.
I've stuck them all in the chat for you, so you've got them there.
Oh, great.
Obviously, also put them into the Google Drive that we've got as a SharePoint for this committee as well.
Thanks, Laurie.
No worries. Basically, as I have said a couple of times to the other committees, this is about protecting the organisation, but also protecting you as the volunteers. Those little changes that the board's made has really refined it to protecting you and your volunteer hours contributing to this committee. So yeah, it's really good, and I certainly appreciate the board's work on this. It's been a great outcome. Dan,
All right.
you have questions?
No questions?
Yeah. Thanks for the address, Phil. One thing I just wanted to ask about was I noticed that one of the questions you were posing us was how long we plan to exist for. Like I had always been of the view that we would exist forever. But are there other committees that have a more finite life?
Yeah, there are.
Look, there are, and some are very subject orientated or issue orientated. So there are committees that would only be designed to set up for 6 months and then dissolve. Others, and a good example of that is the Audit and Risk Committee or a Governance Committee or a Nominations Committee. They'll continue on and on because they're required by the organisation. Now, again, we don't know exactly what it is that you as committees are thinking about, and it may well be that you can adequately justify that you need to be there ongoing. I don't have a problem with that. This is all about letting us know what it is you're doing and how it is you're going to do it, and basically the term. So if you believe that the Adventure Guides need there as a standing committee, we'll use that word, then this is the opportunity to put it in writing and indicate that's so. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, a mountain biking committee is a great one to sort of show how it is on a purpose, not a standing committee. They wanted to try to lead the space in getting some control on mountain biking and what it's doing in the outdoor environment at the moment. So once they sort of work with their partners and get some structure, they might then disable and then come back if they need to another time. But they're there to try to create some structure around mountain biking, which currently doesn't exist.
Okay.
The questions for Phil? Otherwise,
I'll
we'll...
ask another question while I'm here.
Yeah, go for it, Dan.
I'm not, because apologies that I missed the last few meetings because I was out in the field, guys. But when we were doing the paperwork for our committee, one of the things that I stressed I'd love to see, as one of our reasons for existing was touching on, Indigenous Australia and so on. And of course, the Parliament today voted to have hold the referendum in the next 6 months and so on. I just wanted to find out what Outdoors New South Wales and ACT's position is on the voice.
Great question.
It's an excellent question. I can answer that if you like, Laurie.
Yeah, go for it, Phil.
Look, I'm also chair of two other national sporting organisations, Skate Australia and Disability Sports Australia, and we've both been asked the same question. And in both instances, we've taken the same pathway. We've decided that we will remain silent because we can't represent every member's voice in our organisation, whether it's for or against or abstaining. So rather than to position ourselves as one or another, we decided not to make a comment. And in doing so, we said to members that we would represent their interests at a political level where it was specific and where it was required. As important as this issue is, I'm not downplaying the issue because it is of utmost importance, but as important as it is, we felt that we would take a neutral position. Now, the board of Outdoors, that's my experience with two other organisations that I chair. It's not the experience of Outdoors New South Wales ACT because we haven't put it to the board. So, and I'm very happy to put it to the board if you think that's an important step. But my position on I would prefer to remain neutral rather than stating a position of an organisation which represents all its members. And unless all of our members vote on it and all of our members have a say on it, I don't think it's fair and reasonable to position ourselves one way or the other.
Okay.
Our first
Thanks.
Subcommittee have requested to have the board discussion. So we had a brief discussion at the last board meeting, but it is on the agenda for the next one.
Yeah,
I guess, I would like our subcommittee to have a discussion about it as well. And yeah, and get back to you about how we feel about things,
Right.
Phil.
Yeah, no, look, happy to take that on board. No problems at all.
And just from I guess from a governance point of view, if our committee decided that we wanted to take a position on the voice, but the board of Outdoors New South Wales decided they weren't going to take a position on the voice, where would that leave us, Phil?
It's an excellent question, mate. Glad you asked it. I'm not sure I have an answer for that, except, well, I suppose at the end of the day, the governance, the overall governance organisation does sit with the board, but it needs to respect the thoughts of its committees that it's set up. You chaps, obviously. So it's an excellent question. I don't know if I have got an answer for you. I'm guessing it might be a hybrid kind of response to that, which I talked about. I mean, having said that, in the two other organisations I'm with, we all have subcommittees in both of them. We were not asked those questions, so I haven't had to answer it. No.
I cannot answer it from a governance perspective, but I saw Dylan's hand go up. So Dylan, did you want to add something? Or
Yeah,
ask?
I just the comment I was going to make to Dan was that there's a difference between an organisation being able to have an input into conversations and the organisation having a position on a topic.
Yes.
So Outdoors New South Wales can absolutely go to government and say, we think this is these are some thoughts that we've got from our committees about one way or the other that we think that government should be considering, etc., without holding a position.
Yes.
And so that's a way of ensuring that the voices on both sides are carried forward from the lens of the outdoors.
Yeah.
That's a hybrid position. Yeah, I agree.
I think you put it more succinctly than I was going to put it, Dylan, but yeah, that was pretty much what I was going to say. We can certainly be informed by the committees, and your position individually is your position that you are bringing to the table of the subcommittee. But just like with all the subcommittees, as they're delegated by the board, they wouldn't be able to go against anything that the board sort of articulated, but we would carry the content with us when we articulated our perspective.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And that, Dan, that comes back to the terms of reference.
Yes.
So if you want to be able to say something when you disagree with the board, you've got to make sure that the terms of reference allow you to say that.
That's it.
Spot on.
Did we address those things in the meetings that I missed?
Yeah, we'll go through that. Yeah, so Dan
Right.
will catch you up because yeah, it was probably a good thing. The last one, actually, we didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't vote on anything particularly.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, I'll let you go.
I just have one
Phil.
last question, Laurie. Is will we see you, Phil, in Lennox Head?
Yes, you will.
Look forward to meeting you in person.
I do have to leave about lunchtime on the Friday, and it's amazing. On Thursday, I'm meant to go to an awards dinner, and Thursday I'm meant to be in Canberra. No, Melbourne. I'm part of the national participation team, but I'm giving up both to come to Lennox Head. So there we go.
Thanks, Phil.
Okay.
You
Look,
chose
thank you very
well,
much
you chose
again.
well.
I'll leave you with that, and again, thank you very much for your contributions. Much
Thanks,
appreciated.
Phil.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Phil.
Bye bye.
See you later. Okay. So on the basis of the last meeting, sorry, and just to clarify, I have put all those in the chat for you, so you've got those documents, but I will upload them into the drive as well. Yeah, Dylan?
I'm trying to get out of it.
Yeah, do you
Hang up
want me
on
to get you out?
Hang on, there we go.
You got it?
Just because this is an official meeting of Outdoors New South Wales, I think we're supposed to have acknowledgement of country at the start of the meeting.
Yes, thank you, Dylan. Would you like to give it?
Sure. I'd like to acknowledge the Aboriginal people of the lands on which I'm meeting today, which is the Darugin and Gundungurra, and also the lands that you are meeting on as well. And I'd also like to acknowledge their resilience and patience and capacity for carrying forward their culture despite all the setbacks they've experienced for the last little while. In the big scheme of things, and that I extend those respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and hope that we see more of them at our conference coming up.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Dylan. Very well said. Awesome. Okay, so look, I have to apologize because I wasn't even at the last meeting. And that was yeah, due to a friend's tragedy. But I thought Dylan and Dave, you were both there, weren't you? Did you want to just give Dan a bit of a rundown on the discussion that you had? I think it was with Hugh.
No, I think it was
No?
just Dave and I, and we pulled the pin. It was
Oh,
the meeting
okay.
before that. The meeting before that, we had a discussion, but Dave and I, at the
Oh.
last one, it was the two of us, and we bailed out after 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Right. You had a party on your own. Okay. All right. So Danny, you across the discussion that was had with you at that time, because I think
I've missed the last two meetings, Laurie.
Okay.
So
right. So maybe
You've only missed one.
great. I only missed one. So like the last thing that I sort of was actively engaged in was I gave my input into the document that was drawn up. I threw up a few ideas and, you know, suggested a few things. I just wanted to find out where we were at with that document, I guess.
Okay, so if I go to the Google Drive now, I'll be able to bring up where we are at, which I'm just getting into it now. Draft, that's it. Board submitted charter. Okay, so this was submitted as a draft because it didn't have full authority of the committee to present. So let me share screen. So this is the one that you all were playing with. We ended up renaming it from Adventure Guides to Outdoor Leader after a bit of consensus and discussion on reasons around that.
Consensus is a strong word, but agreement, I would say.
Okay, that sounds good. And then, yeah, we rested on pretty much what is in here, but we probably need to refine it. I think we even knew that when we did this, it still wasn't hitting the mark as best as it could. And certainly, I think the new charter, putting it into the new charter might help us define that a little bit. The other document that the board have given us is actually this one here. Where'd it go? Did I shut it? Oops. This one here, which is a bit of a toolkit in writing a committee charter. So this could be something we go through briefly just to give us a bit of reflection on what we've come up with and how it meets. And I think the big question that, and David Chitty, you sat through Ginny's presentation on the new documents and you've sat on Phil's presentation of the new documents. Both are very different. Is there anything you'd like to take from Ginny's discussion on the documents that probably wasn't showcased in Phil's presentation just then?
No, look, not really. I think, I think if we went through this this document here that you've got up on the screen, I think that would, that would be good. I guess one thing that could come up, Laurie, was the business about discussions we can have on an operational nature, for instance,
Yes.
as different from a strategic nature, where we might be able to, when we write our put everything into our own documents, that's operational stuff we can actually make some discussions and maybe do things on.
Absolutely. In one of the other subcommittees, the comment was made, and this hasn't changed as such. It's just highlighted in a bit of rewording, which is a committee, and it's a committee now because we're a company, not a subcommittee as an association, but we're a committee of the company, which is a group of outdoors members delegated by the board by way of approved committee charter to represent and report to the board a specific number of subgroup or address a special issue. Now, the question was raised, particularly I think it was the education subcommittee, does that mean if we want to do a survey, we need board approval? Well, the response to that is absolutely no. Things that come down to an operational nature, if they fall in the remit of myself and the management of the organisation, I can make a call if it's a go-ahead project. Where it becomes either a political review issue, like you say, Dan, it could be a difference of perspective to the values of Outdoors New South Wales. That's what I'd have to take to the board. So we couldn't rally on the steps of Parliament House without that board approval, for example, because that doesn't fall into the remit of my usual operation.
Unless the terms of reference for the committee say you have the ability to go stand on the steps of Parliament.
Correct. That's exactly right. And Siri agrees with you. Yeah, that's it. So that's why the terms of reference as well as the charter are incredibly important, because that puts your boundaries in place.
So Laurie, I just have a question. I've worked a lot with committees and subcommittees and in not company structures, but association and other structures.
Yeah.
And I'd like to just understand a little bit better about how the committee fits into a company structure, given that, so we're not employees, we're volunteers, that's very clear.
Yep.
And our authority to act on behalf of the organization is set in the scope which is provided to us by the terms of reference and the board saying, here you go. But normally a subcommittee in an association would have a delegation under the Constitution.
Yep.
But this, my understanding is that this is not a delegation under the Constitution. This is a delegation of the board, which is a little bit different. Have I got that right?
Correct. I mean, there is a delegation in the constitution of the company to say that you can have not subcommittees, you can have committees for purpose, which is delegated by the board. So that's what the constitution allows.
Oh, okay. So it still has that similar mechanism as the association one does.
Yep.
And so, for example, the finance subcommittee would have the authority to go and audit the books and all those sorts of things.
Correct.
With the same constitutional authority as the board within their terms of reference.
Yes, that's right. You're all covered under the volunteers insurance. The main difference, obviously,
not worried about that.
Yeah, is the directors are, I mean, as much as I carry insurance for them too, a director of the company is a director of the company. They are responsible to ASIC, whereas you guys aren't. You are delegated by the board under the terms of reference to do anything, and that way they've got the governance over you. So if you guys do anything wrong, they're the ones that have to take the rap for it with ASIC.
Yeah, I guess that my question was, I'm used to shareholders, directors, employees in a company, but have not interacted with
not-for-profit
shareholders, directors, committees, and employees. And so, just getting my head around that. But I think I've got enough of it to carry on. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's the limited by guarantee component, obviously. So you're a company limited by guarantee, which means the responsibility of the volunteers stops there.
Yeah.
Cool. Does that make sense, guys? If there's anything you want.
Sorry for everyone if I there.
Dan, are we keeping up? Am I explaining it easier to understand? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Lauren, you cool?
I'm so cool.
Okay, good. I'm loving the cat. Awesome. Okay, great. It's, as much as the conversations have been really great, now this is where the pointy end comes in, because now if we actually look at the charter, which I'll open up again. This is the climate. Yeah, I'll just start the climate change one, which let me save this as ours, and I'll put it into the document, and then I'll put it into the okay. So, do we want to cover off why we called it Outdoor Leader and not Adventure Guides, or is everyone comfortable with where we rested with that?
I feel happy that I was part of that conversation and don't need to go over it personally.
Cool. Okay, Lauren.
Did I get the vibe from Dylan that there was a spirited debate about this?
Oh yeah, there was a big debate about this. Yep. Do we want to add to it, Dan?
I feel like we touched on this on our very first meeting, didn't we?
And then we pulled it apart at the last one, I think.
Right.
So I think the summary was, Dan, that the scope of Outdoors New South Wales is this big, therefore we should keep the scope of the committee to capture all of the people in that. And Beck was in particular was a part of that conversation, going, the idea of adventure guide doesn't land at all with someone who works in the nature-based sector. Sorry, in the nature play bit.
Yeah.
And that it aligns with the training package, the use in the AAAS, and everywhere else. And so it doesn't, if you had the top heading as an adventure guide, it starts small, but if you start with outdoor leader, it doesn't preclude this subcommittee from having a specific subcommittee that looks at adventure guide issues.
I remember that our fear was that the use of the word leader would make people who are new to our industry think that it wasn't for them.
And I think we did cover that by saying that this is where our professionalism of the industry can start to influence. So actually saying you are a leader and building up that not prestige, esteem that we've got as outdoor leaders that could assist.
Yeah. Are we going to have some sort of preamble or some sort of like definition that makes it clear to people that, you don't have to have been in this industry for 20 years to be part of this committee?
Absolutely. And I think this is, okay, hold on, let me just get up my other. Okay, so this is the public facing document that we'll end up doing for our committee, as we've done for climate change, trail bikes, mountain bikes, etc., where we've really established, what our vision is, what our mission is very quickly. That will connect with those people. What our strategic intent is, which is basically going to come from that charter document, what sort of values we have. If they read this, they're going to go, oh, that's for me. That's really going to set that scene. And then whatever we want on the second page, the climate change guys have, got the survey data up there. We may want to, do our own content or do a, survey of the guides and their issues, that type of thing. That's, where we need to sort of go next. But this will be eventually what it looks like.
Cool. Yep. All right. Yeah, I'm comfortable with the name, as long as we're doing whatever needs to be done so that people who are new to the industry don't feel like they're excluded.
Yeah, beautiful. And the beautiful part, which I let the education guys know, that we've now the board has approved an affiliate membership level, which will start 1 July, although we probably won't get it out to the marketplace straight away due to that little thing we've got next week. But as of the 1st of July, we'll have an affiliate opportunity where an individual can join Outdoors New South Wales for $25. So that will give them access to things like this, the subcommittees and connections and newsletters and things that they're going to keep informed on. It won't give them opportunities like the mentoring programs or to join subcommittees and stuff like that, but it will give them exactly what you guys have been wanting, which is that access to connection.
So that'll be to more than just teachers, Laurie. That'll be any, but not organisations. That'll be any leader or any individual that is in the industry somewhere and not quite sure.
That's right. And the hope, your hope is down the track that you have enough individuals in an organisation where you turn the organisation, say, come on, you fork up for your individuals, then they don't have to pay the $25. So, as you know, Dan, you've got, I think, 2 employers that are full members, if not 3. So, you get the benefit of being connected through that employer. Not everyone has that luxury. So giving them that opportunity to be connected and then escalate them through.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Sorry, going back to where we were. So maybe it's probably good we put side by side where we got to with the other one and look at this. But let's go back to this one. So we actually said that it's about consultation and representation on matters that relate to outdoor leaders, advocate for outdoor leadership to be recognised as a profession, considerable influence on the development and direction of outdoor sector, and will be the reference point for outdoor leaders into ourselves. Okay, then we went into being the conduit between leaders and the peak body, and then creating and support best practice frameworks. So the areas that we did highlight, and this doesn't mean that we're limited by this, but we're going to have to sort of probably prioritize some of them, knowing that our time is limited. And what do we want to achieve? What does success look like in our space? And what do we want to achieve first and second, and so forth? So we did say, training, employment, career longevity, collaboration and connection. Some of this stuff we're already working on in other areas, but, making sure that we do adopt some priority around those. And then, of course, providing information back to the people.
Want to talk about those now, Laurie, and maybe pop them in?
So. Well, let's go back to this, because if we're going to put it in here, we might as well start putting it in here. If this strategic intent is really what the old charter, the old one really did try to articulate more so, where the old one didn't do anything well in that regard. I've lost it. There it is around this primary purpose and articulating that well. So yeah, I think we've got to try to come up with that primary purpose, and then we can go into the strategic intent, then come back to the scope. I think that's probably the best way to go.
Well, let's have a look at what we wrote, at the top of our last one.
Yeah,
draft
so
document.
the primary purpose was fourfold, and I think that's why we probably need to discuss it on really trying to articulate it a little bit more succinctly. We said consultation, representation, advocate, influence, development and direction. And I think a lot of this could actually come into the strategic intent, is my gut feel. But,
well, if we had the first paragraph with the bit that you've just underlined or blued, can we fit that in, and let's have a look at how that sounds,
Okay, so is to report to and provide advice to the board as necessary and appropriate on the needs and issues relating to. That's what I see as the purpose. It's as clear and simple as that.
Yep.
Yeah. Happy to take other commentary on it, but I think really at the end of the day, you are the knowledge bearers of anything that relates to outdoor leaders. So whatever advice it is, whatever matter we're dealing with, that is what I see the committee's role as. Where this comes in is probably, and actually Ginny said this well, around the scope. It's really important to think about what you want to exclude, because it actually emphasizes the scope a lot more than what you include. So, what are some of the things that we do not want to represent or have issues on the table with? Which is a really interesting way to look at it, as opposed to what we want to do. Tends to refocus a little bit easier.
I guess a couple of the things that we agreed that we weren't going to be was a trade union, training organisation, but we did still want to be able to offer advice in those areas.
Well, that's right. So the
Yeah.
advice is different. Yeah. It's more excludes the actions that would
They're just two things that I remember we discussed. Yeah, I'm sure there were other things we said we didn't want to be, but they're the first two that come to my mind.
Just on the training side, I can see the formal qualifications, but would you ever want to actually hold opportunities to connect with the leaders and help them in, I don't know,
I think you could say formal training.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because if
thinking
you-
of more, David. Yeah.
If we wanted to have a well, let's say a Blue Mountains come and play with ropes day, or wherever, that would be informal. It could be structured, but it would be informal. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
we
think
weren't going to become an RTO.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
I think we should exclude the key areas that are being handled by other ONSO WACT sub committees. That doesn't mean we can't have an interest,
Yeah.
and we might approach a committee and say, hey, we've got a thought in this area, but we shouldn't be delving into that area as in this committee. That's my thoughts.
So that's a really good one, Dave, because even just the commentary that we just had about First Nations or the Voice, it could be that our position on the Voice is aired to the First Nations subcommittee, but and provide content, but we as a committee don't provide that to the board. Is that my reading of what you said?
Yeah, that could be a way to deal with a range of different conversations, including that one, right? Without causing drama for the strategic end of the organisation, but still as a committee or individuals as a committee having our say in something, whether it's climate, First Nations, risk management, all the other types of things that are happening out there.
I think there might be some crossover potential in terms of things like if we have a relationship with national parks and want to advise on things like maximum group sizes and ratios, that's going to affect people like the mountain bikers, maybe.
Yeah, but that could, for instance, be if we wanted to look at that was a concern, we might be talking with
we'd go to them.
The risk management, the incident response and risk management group, right? Because that comes into part of the risk management area. Recommendations for changes to GPGs and other things in the future. Yeah. I would imagine, Laurie, that at some stage we might have an adventure activity standards committee anyway, as we head towards review. Issues.
I have another question, and I can't remember if this has come up at all.
Yeah.
Is outdoor are we when we're representing or advocating for outdoor leaders, did we say that extends to people like Scouts who have the same role but aren't getting paid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And for instance, people like myself, I own a business, but I'm also a leader in the field. So I put my business to one side. I'm a leader, just like other leaders and in the industry. I run abseiling and whatever. So I'm only submitting my interest on that side of my professional business procurement, whatever it is.
And I wonder, is there a definition in the AAAS around that we could just pinch and reference?
There is a definition of a leader in the. I would have to dig it out of the core. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we could reference that.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else people are thinking that we should exclude?
Mm.
Activity leaders, assistant leader. Oh God. Okay.
Just realised I've been yarning with the microphone on. Off,
Oh.
rather. I said that in that conversation I just read about excluding RTOs.
Mhm.
I just wanted to ensure that the way that we've worded it doesn't mean that we're excluding the employees of RTOs who are also outdoor leaders and outdoor professionals.
Yes, I think what I said is activities that, okay, hold on, let me make sure, because that's a really good point. Excludes actions that would be similar to, so,
Correct.
yeah, it's more about supporting the individuals, which we have to put in here. That's what we've got to include.
And I just want to ask about the formal training organisation language there.
Yep.
I think that that's appropriate for this committee, but I just want to check that that doesn't exclude Outdoors New South Wales from taking on those activities elsewhere.
Yeah, correct. I mean, we even just said, you know, if there's an opportunity to share some content and train people up on a certain topic that obviously wasn't a formal training qual, then we could still do that. So, but yes, definitely.
Well, and just because the committee doesn't have the scope to do that doesn't mean that they can't ask the organisation to do it as a recommendation from the committee.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think what Dan was getting at with that is that we're not replicating other things that are already in place. Okay. What about includes?
Can't we just copy and paste pretty much all the things we had on the other document there, Laurie?
Well,
or-
Let's discuss them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your strategic intent. So keep in mind, everything we put on that last document is more strategic intent. This is your scope. So this is talking about outdoor leaders operating within New South Wales. And I've just noticed they've got a spelling error there. And the ACT who conduct, and I think it's more about what Dylan's just stuck in the chat. Is that right? Can't read that thing.
Letting mute on again. I'm just going to leave it off and you just have to listen to me sniff every now and then.
That's fine.
The thing that I put in the chat earlier was about the definition of an outdoor leader, whether it includes people that are paid or trained or leading groups or not.
Ah, okay.
But in terms of what is in the scope, that's all is operating within New South Wales and the ACT. I mean, that conduct outdoor activities, but I'm kind of like going, but that's it.
Well, we actually, should we say that, yeah, it's leading, yeah, dependent participants in the, well, maybe not even leading participants in the conduct of activities. Yeah, that's would be the same whether you were canyoning or running a, you know, an early childhood session. Yeah.
Did I capture that?
Yeah, just unsure about the word connecting at the start.
No, I'm not about that one. Yeah, I'm not.
The only thing I can think of is issues relating to outdoors.
Yeah,
vague.
that's what, hold on, where is it here? No, that's not it. That's it. Matters relating to is what we had in here. Matters relating to.
Relating or of concern to. Relating to or concerned of, or other concern of.
And instead of that lead, perhaps who lead, yeah?
Sorry, say that again, Dave.
After ACT, we've got that.
Yep.
Maybe who, yeah?
Lead.
Yeah, who lead, yeah?
Mhm.
I just, yeah.
Yep.
Sort of more human, personal.
And can we say are of concern to?
Mhm.
Thanks, Laurie.
All right. So she was concerned too. Yep.
If are we having a definition of outdoor leaders in this document, and do we need the second half of that explaining what that is?
I think we do. I just feel we do because,
Okay.
well, I'm happy to take other people's comment, but I'm actually looking at Dylan's stuff, which I can't copy for some reason, and see if
Yeah.
I can copy that.
Yeah, I think it would be good to
Well-
have what we believe a definition is.
Hmm. Why can't I?
And
Yeah.
it may be,
Like, I just think the who lead dependent participants in the outdoors might be redundant if it's referred to elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
That's
point.
all. Or if it's in there, do we need to then exclude recreational leaders as well?
no.
I'm just gonna have to redo it.
Hmm.
'Cause I can't copy for some reason. Oops. Sorry, is there something else I need to do as well? I didn't catch that, Lauren.
Lauren was just saying something that I think is worth thinking about, which is in our exclusions, should we specifically make clear that we are not representing the leaders of recreational groups?
Right.
Well, why?
Just for the sake of legal clarity?
I mean, I think recreational group leaders have the same duty of care as a paid leader or a scout leader. I think they're within our scope personally, particularly as if we don't have someone in there, if we're not taking an interest, that's an area that things can go wrong and bring us all down. Yeah, they're still leaders. Yeah.
I mean, yes and no, though, because they've got completely different requirements in terms of how they're leading groups and maximum group sizes and ratios, and they don't need to be trained technically.
They're covered under the Adventure Activity Standard and Good Practice Guides.
Mhm.
Are they?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Anyone that leads a
Well,
defending-
That's
This,
sorry.
this is a huge can of worms that was hashed out over many moons for the AAAS. And that the key, I think that the key distinction for this subcommittee is if you are identifying as an outdoor professional,
Hmm.
whether you're paid or not, whether you're in a recreational context or not, if you're whatever it is, like that's the self-identification as a professional that is the interest of this committee.
Yes.
If you work for Scouts and you want to think of yourself as a professional, come on board. If you're
Yeah.
a bushwalking club leader and you don't want to think of yourself as a professional, fine, we won't talk to you.
I like
Okay.
Do we need then to put that under what we are about or what we're not about? or both?
Well, yeah, it's a good question.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if it's just included in this definition. So an
Yes.
outdoor leader is self-identified as a professional outdoor leader.
I think that's enough.
So what we are about rather than what we're not about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll just add to that, Laurie, is for the purposes of this committee,
Yep.
an outdoor leader
Oh,
may or may
yeah.
not be paid.
yeah.
They will be trained. They will lead dependent group.
I guess who I don't want to be representing is like a bunch of mates who go canyoning on the weekend, and one of them who's the most experienced says, "I'm the leader of this group."
Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I don't want to be
Yeah.
representing them, but I am happy to represent the person who belongs to a bushwalking group and says, "I am the most professional person here, and therefore I am leading this group." I'm
Well,
clear.
in the case of organisations, like say the caving organisations, for instance, clubs, there are appointed leaders and second leaders. Most clubs and organisations will have some sort of rules in that regard. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. I like it. Okay, so from exclusions sense, it's about the actions that would be similar to trade unions, formalized training organizations, or other areas that are covered under other subcommittees or other committee scopes. Do we need another? Maybe what you just said, Dan, needs to be incorporated in there.
That we don't summing up what I
We
just
don't-
said.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, no, but we've got that self-identified as a professional outdoor leader, and we haven't put any. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
like
the
I'm kind of
exclusion-
happy with self-identified as professional leader, unless we just want to make it even more abundantly clear to people who we're not representing.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll say now, the amount of people I get trying to join the Canyon Guides page who are recreational canyoners is very large.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I guess the difference with this one though is they got to pay $25.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, all right.
Let's-
So
let's have a think about that one. Yeah. Maybe we could. Yeah. Reflect on it and
that
be
is
clearer next time we come together.
yeah, cool.
Actually, on the basis of what you just mentioned, then Dylan paying $25, like, do we need to specify that, we'll work even harder for people who are actually members, or is that going into
Funny you
dangerous
say that,
territory?
because I was literally just writing in the chat, under the other heading,
Yeah.
includes matters relating to people who are on their path to becoming professional outdoor leaders.
Okay.
Because I genuinely give a crap about that young employee who has no idea about what a tax file number or superannuation is, and who in their first job is going to get shafted in a workplace health and safety manner,
Yeah.
and underpaid and injustices.
Mhm.